Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of From No Crypto to No Crypto. I'm your host, the Crypto Coach, Blockchain Wayne. Today we're joined by Arman. Arman is a tech founder, co-founder of Coverant, and really so much more, right, Arman? So we're going to dive into that. But thanks for
Yeah.
joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me, Wayne. Happy to
Yeah,
be
man,
here.
a pleasure having you on. Ever since we met back in Dubai at Token 2049 during that week of crazy events. But before we dive into all
Yes.
that you're doing right now, I'd love for the audience to get a feel for you and your background. So you can tell us a little bit about that.
Sure thing. So, as you mentioned, I'm a tech founder. I've been in the field for more than a decade already. Started in a Web 2 doing classical software engineering, front end, back end. Then at 2019-20, I already started to found my way into the blockchain. And from 2021, I actually started to work as a back in that time lead developer of one freelance agency back in my hometown, Armenia, where we were like not in a bad way, but we were just printing NFT collections and creating NFT marketplaces for freelancer during using Upwork freelancing platforms and standard friends and family connections throughout all of that. Then eventually I ended up in a big loophole of blockchain engineering by itself, working with different companies, working with Chainlinks, with MetaMask and a couple of times, doing a lot of startups, most of the time as an engineer, but at some point I already got revisioned myself in a more advisory and more like lead tech roles, working with them. So it was quite a journey working with companies, not in just like engineering basis, but also like a research basis. Back in the time when NFTs hype just the balloon was
Yeah.
still pumping, there was a lot of so-called tests, architectural tests, and market manipulation and marketing tests with different companies, organized with different companies, like hackathons. Those I'm telling you because this one is one of the biggest. Not an achievement, but interesting fact regarding the market and how it's connected, despite all of it, the marketing. So the whole idea was to find a way to manipulate with the analytical tools like Nansen and others. We're just providing you a whale information, what they buy, where did they do, and what they did. And it was quite interesting how turns out after like 2 months of research and bots that all the whales actually are just bot accounts. And if you can try to catch them to come and mint or buy your token on your smart contract, and they're literally doing it for like first, if they see like 20-30 minutes of activity on your smart contract, then everyone is coming.
Hmm.
So that was one of the biggest top-notch, interesting psychological things that we did back in the time. And then, yeah, it was just like, as I said, loophole of startups and companies that I've been working for, and eventually ending up more like a DeFi space guy, working with banks, creating these bridges between traditional finance and Web3 finance, working with Visa, MasterCard, in doing implementation of the banking system with the crypto. And now I'm working with EB1 lifestyle application, which is by itself also is going to provide you the crypto debit cards. And also co-founded by myself a startup called Coverant,
Hmm.
which comes basically from a space where you want to do and oversee deals, or you want to do deals with crypto, or do crypto deals for goods or anything else. And there's always a trust issue, not because of us personally, but because of the market manipulation and speculation that exists. So what we did, we found that perfect middleman solution for people who can just come, upload their legitimate contracts, work with each other by using good old traditional escrow strategy, but without crazy fees and middlemen included. So it's fully non-custodial. It's you and your service provider or client working together for the space. Um, Then we did web3wiki.xyz. It was just another Wikipedia startup, like educational guidance type of thing for the community. So yeah, it's a heck of a journey.
A little bit of everything. So back to where you came in. So you came in 20, like into like really dabbling into crypto 2019, 2020. And it was mainly NFTs then, right? That was pretty much what was hot. Or okay, absolutely.
Yeah, it was mainly NFTs. Then eventually end up doing tokens, marketplace contracts, more like mimicking what OpenSea was doing back in the time. Then eventually ended up more and more into the Solidity development and the blockchain development itself.
Gotcha. Yeah. So initially it was where you saw demand. There was a lot of demand for NFTs, and now you're doing a lot with DeFi. So that seems
selling
to be
shovels.
Right. That seems to be where you see a lot of growth happening, and it sounds like you're bridging that crypto to non-crypto world, right? If you're working with companies like Visa, MasterCard. So without going too much into detail, just for maybe the general audience, what are you seeing happening on that side in terms of what's being built, what's being rolled out? What kind of tools or content is it for the everyday user? Or is it more for the institutions and the banking and credit card systems to communicate?
I would say that we have that new DeFi technology for day-to-day users also. Depends on what type of technology we're talking to, right? If we're talking about centralized exchanges and how some of them are already started to provide you Visa and MasterCard crypto debit cards, it is for day-to-day usage. But at the same time, you can see the other problem that right now the whole industry is trying to figure out how to fix it and tackle it is the access of all of that tools. We can see a lot of great products launching, pivoting in US and staying there. Even like about crypto debit cards, financial infrastructure. It's either happening there or, for example, in Hong Kong, with like it's either very east or very west. And the Europe and the Middle East was the one who usually struggles when it comes to this type of things. But thankfully, it seems that companies and industries found the right direction. And for example, if we're talking about the Dubai and how we met there, so same Dubai has virtual asset regulatory board where they're controlling all of these type of startups who are working with user funds, and it helps the overall Middle East to grow in terms of Web3 technology and adoption. So I believe sooner rather than later, we will have this type of mass adoption regarding the financial ecosystem to all over the world. If that answers to your question.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's definitely a lot of complexities in there, but it definitely seems. I mean, that's where we're going. I mean, we've I don't know. You've probably heard it for years. I've been saying it for years that blockchain technology and crypto can solve a lot of the problems and issues that you see within banking. So it only makes sense that they're going to be
100%.
The last thing these companies want to do is be left behind, right? I mean, they're still
100%. And the whole scam label on top of the crypto is just another type of manipulation.
Right.
I mean, the same money laundering was happening way before crypto even exists, right? So it's just big corporations don't want you to jump into the crypto train and move your funds over from their control, and that's it.
Right. It's basically they don't want you to jump in before they're ready to provide the service in it. Then you can still use that, right? Yeah. It's like, hold up, and that's kind of what we've seen, with a lot of technologies where it's ridiculed, it's mocked, and really the ones leading the ridicule and the mocking are really the industries that will become relevant if they don't figure out how to play their part.
True.
And so that's it now, right? It's JP Morgan Chase, the CEO, has been very vocal about how scammy crypto and Bitcoin has been over the years, and the whole time at the same time they were building tools to figure out how they could get
and they
NFTs.
were buying the Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. It's very traditional financial manipulation thing going on. I mean, if you
Yeah,
read a couple of books from Ray Dalio and a couple of other guys about the investment and stuff, it's a very known strategy to create the demand,
yeah,
right? Talking about how bad it is, then buy everything regarding that, and then start to talk about like how
yeah,
great it is
yeah,
because you are the one who's provide all of that, and you have total control, basically.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. And that's really the message I wanted, wanted the audience to get, because that's how it's been. And so I always now, once you see that and once you realize it, maybe you can tell me how it feels for you. But when you hear these narratives about other things, not just crypto, right? I'm thinking just in general, and you see a narrative being pushed so strongly, you have to question, okay, what's the real reason behind this, and what's the answer behind it?
Yeah, yeah, that
That's
can be the case. I mean, especially for me and a lot of people like me coming from the more Middle East, Armenia, Transcaucasian region, like we always have this lack of information uh, back in, say, 2020, 2029, where all world already talking about Ethereum. We already had a bunch of billionaires and millionaires. We just trying to we just started to hear about, okay, there's something going on about it. And we tend to question everything one way or another because there is always lack of information and you're trying to find your way. So it's a good skill. Eventually I can tell that like questioning everything and trying to find a way like which information is actually true. It's becoming a skill, and it's super needed one if you're in the crypto space, considering the fact how many manipulations are going on. You should like as everyone said, you should find something, stick to it, and just ignore the noise.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's basically, in essence, critical thinking is what you're
Yeah,
talking about. I mean, that's the skill that we need more people to develop, instead of just hearing something and not questioning it. Not, I mean, even I'll even go back to the pandemic for a second, right? Because we all live. That's one
oh
thing the whole
yeah,
world lived through, right? And there was a narrative going here. I live in the U.S., and it was, basically people were like, "Oh, why are you questioning the science?" And for one, the science wasn't real. We learn that now. But besides the fact of that, all of science is based on questioning science, right?
true.
Nothing would evolve if you don't question the narrative, question what's being pushed. If that weren't the case, we'd still be doing these primitive practices that were done thousands of years ago. And so now it's always question the narrative, look at the angles of where it's coming from and who's pushing that narrative,
Mhm.
right? Is
Yeah,
it someone that benefits from the opposite of what they're saying, or and that's kind of the question I would say. So whether it's crypto, whether it's tech, whether it's just anything in general,
yeah.
that's really what we need, because you can see, and social media unfortunately has done this to us, to where you can see like people that'll just blindly. And I hate to say it, I've got some family members the same way, and this is on both sides of any narrative, especially political narrative here, right? They'll just blindly share stuff without even questioning, is it true or not? And that's on either side. I'm not saying for or against. It's just, why would you share
It's
that
the way of the
without?
things.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's a skill that's missing a lot, And I think in school, um, at least here, there's a mixed message where you're taught to memorize so many things, but at the same time, debate and critical thought and that whole process, I think, is diminishing. And so it's important to do that. And by doing that, it's not only just about questioning narratives, but then that's where opportunity lies, right? When you're in that new narrative or something controversial, if it's especially in
Agree.
something you're going to see the world shift. I saw it, I saw it in 2016. You saw it, well, at least in 2019 when you pivoted, probably sooner, because we all evaluate for a
Yeah,
while before we actually jump in.
true.
Yeah.
I mean, even in 2019, I was questioning myself: Am I doing the right thing?
Yeah.
Because like you, especially when you're working, for example, I was working back at that time only with corporate jobs, and either corporate jobs or startups, but they had zero relation to crypto, like at all.
Mm.
Like they're either as SaaS products, 3D products, or some, for example, Pixar was one of the big names there. And you are trying to jump into the something new for you, and of course it's scary first because like okay, what am I doing it right, to like even look at it. But yeah, that's a risky part.
Yeah.
You have to question it, but like, I don't know. I consider myself quite lucky to get that opportunity from that guys, and to like said, okay, fuck it, I'll risk it, and I'll just try it. What can go wrong? Like, I can always find a Web2 job. At some point, especially for tech people, it's becoming so boring and easy, and so especially after Web3, because when it comes to blockchain development, even if we forget about the whole the root of blockchain development with, for example, Solidity or other languages like Rust and other compilers and other versions of it. If you're working with the blockchain industry and working with these software development kits in an alpha version or beta version or in testing, and you must implement it in order to satisfy your client. And it's quite like this way most of the time, because you're working with browser extensions who's working with another RPCs and stuff. And after that, when you're going back to Web2 type of things, it's just like super easy. Okay, like you're doing this, you're doing that. It's quite easy. You have control. You can control both of them. Like, why to even bother your brain? Just give the AI, give the exact rules, and it will be done in 5-10 minutes.
Yeah, so I guess I never thought about it like that. So yeah, I mean, basically, building in Web3 and blockchain is not easier. It's more beneficial for users, but it's actually harder. So
yeah, it is hard. It is hard, especially if you're working with, for example, inside the blockchain tech, which is just coming up. There's a big lack of documentation most of the time. So you have to guess what's going on or go and read the code bases, which is quite a good skill for all the developers out there. Like, you must be able to read the code that has been written by other people. If you can do it, then you're already like a top-notch guy. Doesn't matter where you're from. So yeah, it's quite hard, not only because of that, because of the lack of documentation, and also because clients don't actually know what they want most of the time. They saw something, they want something similar, but there's always extra questions that gonna come as soon as you finish the product.
I got you. Yeah, definitely makes sense. So, Arman, when we look at what you guys have done, you mentioned some of the things that you're working on right now, but what is there anything that you have upcoming that you'd like to talk about or can't talk about? I know I asked that question, and sometimes it's maybe you can't talk about everything, but anything that is coming that people would want to know about.
Yeah, like the Coverant is one of the biggest milestones for us, because it's not coming just out our mind. There is a very big need for that. And when we started to dig into all of that industry, when we started to work with the freelancers, either as a freelancer or as a client, there is always a problem when it comes to crypto payments or working in a crypto space, because a lot of people just hide themselves inside the avatars. And we embody that philosophy, what we are trying to promote here regarding creating the trustful space for both sides. It's quite important. We saw ourselves how it can end sometimes when you're dealing with people, when you're dealing with clients. They're always behind some avatars, and you might never see them again, and they can just one day got lost, and you might never get your payment, or you might never get your code base, right? Especially, for example, even if you're working with the companies in a crypto space, there are similar situations still going on there, because unfortunately, startup culture is not as great as in US. I can tell that 100%. I've been working with the US startups, and I've been working with Middle East startups, European startups. The culture difference is there. I mean, you guys are so fucking organized and understanding the tech most of the time, because I mean, it's all coming from US. You know everything from scratch, and you know how to deal with it. Whereas in other part of the world, it's still a news that got catched, or it's just some new young millionaire who wants to build something but don't know what to do, and management issues and stuff like that. So these type of tools are quite necessary when it comes to creating recurring salary payments, where you can, before doing your job, you can see that your client deposited the money, or you're doing the transfer of the goods and you're doing multiple payments, so you can review the stuff before doing it. So yeah, that's one of the biggest milestones for us. The second one that we were discussing last week was like a 50-50 hidden thing. I can tell that what we are trying to achieve, we are trying to leverage the latest technology of Ethereum, the account abstraction standard, which is so freaking awesome thing. I would encourage everyone to go read about it if they don't do that yet, because the level of consistency that how they're trying to bring user experience issues, actually trying to fix it, is quite phenomenal for me. And it gives us as a developers or as a tech founders new tools to get their hands dirty and build meaningful mobile wallet applications for you, where you can access using your biometrics, you can have multiple guardians, you can do inheritance protocols. It's quite famous things, but with different names. So it's quite interesting. And I remember we were talking about the FIO domains last week. Right? It's also it excites me so much, actually, because like you can have your own name, you can attach it to your wallet, doesn't matter what wallet it is, and you can get payments from all over the world, which is quite interesting thing. And it also tends to ease user experience and how big problem it is actually with all that words writing down, never having some sort of understanding what actually is going on. Because where I was working with my clients from Asia, their client base were 45 plus years old investors and family offices and stuff. And that was the time where I actually learned how important it is to provide a really, really good Web 2 based user experience to people. Because for them, it was a hell of a job to like get the wallet address or transfer money there. The account abstraction is one of the things that can actually help us a lot to adopt it's also adoption, but to help the blockchain mass adoption in some sort of way.
Yeah, those are important things, and that's kind of, I tell people all the time, when you want to really test your product, because I think about it, we'll build something in crypto and then we'll ask people that are already in crypto to try it out for us and give some feedback.
Yeah.
But when you give it to people, like when you try to onboard new people that have no experience, that's when you really learn all the roadblocks and all the what is the word I'm looking for? Friction. All the friction that happens when you're trying to bring people on board. And I don't think people realize that's really our biggest problem to solve. So I definitely could see it in your excitement when you talk about account abstraction and other things. Likewise, because for me, I realize it doesn't matter how much cool stuff we build in this crypto Web3 blockchain world. If we can't bring in users to actually use it, then what's the point?
Oh, true.
Right? Yeah. Yeah.
And to do that, we need a good user experience. We need good user interfaces. And I think it was a couple of days ago. I don't remember the guy's name, but he says very wise words regarding the blockchain, that right now blockchain does not need a hype by itself at all. Like what blockchain actually needs is a product who actually fix something in the market, products who are challenging the modern problems in the world. Or we need products. We have to build ecosystem. We have to build a community, not in a way that we have done so far with crypto token communities and NFT communities, but rather a bigger community, more dedicated professional community who can actually tackle the problems, challenge them, and bring us the solutions for all of those. Right? That's what we are trying to do as a tech founders. Also, it helps a lot because we're the ones who are writing the code base. And we're the ones who test it first. So it's like good cop, bad cop situation, which based on human history ends up being a very good startup product.
Yeah. But we've got to fix the usability in this space, and there's so much to do. Account abstraction, FIO, we work on the sending and receiving assets. And those are two big important problems, right? One, setting up a wallet and securing that wallet the right way.
Yeah.
And then being able to send and receive. And then outside of that, just continue to build on top to where people can easily navigate, interact, almost to a point where they don't realize they're using the technology. That's kind of where we knew. Right?
Yeah, true. I forgot to mention that I'm also doing the podcast. It's called People Behind the Industry. I remember this because one of my guests was actually engineering lead at MetaMask. And when we were talking, I asked him a very similar question, like, yes, we have the user experience problem in the field. And to be able to fix it, to solve it, we need traditional applications, as one example, to somehow adapt with it. And his answer is, it was right before account abstraction beta version just coming out and stuff. And we were discussing it. And he told me like very good thing, like, most probably we will end up never seeing browsers like Chrome or Safari doing very internal integration of the crypto. What we're gonna see products, applications, decentralized applications with a better UX. What we can see now with account abstraction, with fiat domain as another example, rather than seeing, for example, Chrome or iOS or Safari doing the crazy stuff. Not at least for like another couple of years. Right. Let's see what Trump will do with all his crypto mindset. But it will take a very long journey for developers to like build it in the root of, for example, your phone or your wallet browser, or your browsers or any other device that you have, and have more seamless interaction with it. But we can see that there is already a good sign. I mean, account abstraction is a very good sign because it's already interacting with native OS keychains and passkeys, which is quite important thing. A very big leap, I would say.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. So a lot of great stuff. So, Arman, as we start to wrap up, can you tell everybody where they can maybe follow you, find out more about your company and what you guys are building?
Oh, absolutely. You can find me almost on all platforms. I'm Arman Mamyan, Mamyan. The product name is Coverant .xyz. Feel free to reach me out everywhere. I'm always eager to help beginners, new startup owners to find their way into the crypto space. And eventually, we should always help each other. Otherwise, we'll end up having nothing.
Absolutely, man. That's what I love about this industry as well. Is it's when you think about the traditional tech world, it's a lot of walled gardens where everybody's like building their own thing in secret. And here it's just so much. That happens a little bit here, but for the most part, the general consensus is people are willing to help each other because we realize, like, we've all got to move this industry forward. So instead of us competing against each other, it's how can we all work together to move the industry forward because there's so much adoption.
Oh yeah, the altruism in blockchain space is quite another thing. I mean, in engineering, there's always an altruism, give or take, but in the blockchain space, I can feel it. Like I've been in this space for like 5 years, I can feel the difference for sure.
Absolutely. Well, Arman, man, it's been a pleasure having you on. I challenge everybody, make sure to follow him. Got all the information that he shared in the comments to follow him. So thanks again for joining us today, and thanks everyone for listening. And we'll catch you on the next episode, everyone. Take care, everybody.
Ciao.